We've spoken before about the various cast changes in UFO and how if you watch the show in production order, half the cast disappear after episode 17.
Yes, that's true.
Because of the studio move and the pause in production, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Also, we've covered quite recently the unfortunate politics by which George Sewell, that's Alec Freeman, was let go from the show to be replaced by Wanda Ventham as Colonel Virginia Lake.
Yep.
Freeman obviously wasn't the only character the show lost around that time. Keith Ford, Gay Ellis, Lou Waterman, and more all just vanished because the actors who played them were busy doing other things and weren't able to return for episode 18 onwards. So, some replacements had to be found to fill certain vital roles in the show. While in some cases it was easier to fill roles with existing characters, such as Aisha Bruff filling in for Lieutenant Ford at Shadow HQ, or Nina Barry filling in for Gay Ellis on Moonbase, for the role of Shadow's second-in-command, it was felt that perhaps a brand new character would be needed. Obviously, from the existing cast of returning characters, Paul Foster would perhaps be the obvious choice for Shadow's second-in-command, but as we know, he was a relatively recent recruit to the organisation, so perhaps it was felt that within the world of the show, he wasn't quite senior enough.
Okay.
So, the search was on to find a replacement for Alec Freeman, and meanwhile, scripts were being written with either Freeman still present or just a generic second-in-command role until a new actor or actress could be arranged.
Right.
The idea of that second-in-command character being a woman, which was quite a bold move for a show of that time, even for an Anderson show, seems to have come from Ed Bishop himself.
Ah.
Now, whether or not he specifically suggested Wanda Ventham is a little unclear. He says he did, and he says he didn't, depending on which interview you read.
Right.
But he certainly took credit for suggesting the idea that it should be filled by a woman. Regardless of how it came about, Wanda Ventham eventually became one of the two candidates for the role, the other being a male actor by the name of Gary Raymond. Without actually knowing they were going up for the same job, Wanda and Gary were actually interviewed for the second-in-command role on the same day. And oddly enough, Wanda had been to drama school with Gary's wife. Small world.
Yes.
Now, we know how things went from there. Wanda was hired as the new second-in-command. She reprised her role of Virginia Lake from the first episode, and because many stations and networks back in the 1970s showed the series in a largely random order, it was never obvious that she wasn't meant to be a main character right from the start.
Sure.
So obviously, Wanda was happy because she got to be on the show. Ed was happy because he really came to enjoy the relationship between Straker and Lake. And poor old Gary Raymond, well, as they say in game shows, he didn't go away empty-handed.
Right.
As his consolation prize, something quite rare in the entertainment industry, he still got to play his role of Shadow Second-in-Command in the episode The Man Who Came Back as Colonel John Grey.
Okay.
So the next time you watch The Man Who Came Back and wonder who on earth this John Grey bloke is who suddenly turned up and is telling everyone what to do and why he's getting so much screen time, just remember that he could have actually been a new regular character as second-in-command of Shadow. So there you go.
Interesting. Yes. Okay, I like that.
So it is quite rare that you... I mean, how often, Richard James, have you been up for a role and they've said, actually, no, but we're going to bring you in to play a different iteration of the same role for one episode as a consolation prize? That never happens, does it?
No, of course it doesn't. No, that's
There you
right.
go.
Yeah, I like it.
So Gary could have been, let's say, Virgil Lake. How would that have been?
Yeah. That would work.
I mean, I'm just making that up now. Actually,
Why
obviously,
not?
it would have been John Grey. But, yeah. So there you go. That could have been a very, very different universe. But I love how forward-thinking the show was, the team were, and Ed was too. To be
Yes.
saying, let's have a female second-in-command. Come on. I mean, this is set in
Absolutely.
1980. We know how forward-thinking the world is going to be by 1980. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice idea.
Yeah, it was, yeah. A bit ahead of its time. Yeah.
There you go.
That's good.
But a lovely thought, and I'm so glad it worked that well because she was great.